What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here. A day of rest has happened, and we are back to record a pickups video for Atlanta. I got a good night's sleep last night, still not quite enough. Had to go to work today, and I was dragging a little bit today, but vocal cords still a little tired, but we're going to power through. So today, we're going to kind of go over some just general thoughts on the dealer side of the table, and mostly what I bought and sold. What I bought is a very short list / traded for. What I sold is a much longer list. So Steve and I had a very successful show, more so Steve, and once again, I'll let him go over his stuff on whatever video he's going to do for this. But I walked into the show with $2,700 in cash. I left the show with about $5,500, down quite a few cards and up quite a few cards. So we will go ahead and get into it. I spent about $2,600-ish, give or take. And you know, not everything was necessarily that number is not all pure profit. You know, some of that's covering the cost basis that I had on some of these cards. And I actually sold some cards at a loss. I didn't sell everything for a straight profit. Some stuff I did sell at a profit. So we'll go ahead and kind of go through it. As soon as I got to the show, I made a deal with Steve almost immediately. He had some Marvel cards that I wanted to get off him. I had and I don't have the biggest Marvel card collection in the world, but it's pretty decent. But I had a gaping hole when it came to Miles Morales. I had no good Miles Morales stuff. So I knew that he had these, and the one card in particular I had been looking for. And really the other one I didn't mind picking up either. So we did a package deal, and he threw in a third one that is fine. It's not something that I really wanted. It's these three right here. We'll start with these two first. This is the 2016 Marvel Masterpieces line. This is the base card out of 1999. All the base cards in Marvel Masterpieces are numbered. This is the card I really didn't have a ton of interest in out of Marvel Masterpieces. It's fine. It's perfectly fine card. I'll probably look to sell this potentially. I don't really have any vested attachment to this one. What I wanted was this one, which is the EPAC achievement version of that card. It is non-numbered, but you can see it kind of has a hollow foil shine to it. I don't know what the estimated print run are on these. I'm sure someone in the comments down below can enlighten me on that. I just know it's not like an astronomical amount. So I really wanted this. I think Miles' stuff is going to continue to do extremely well, and I wanted to get a little piece of the Miles action, but his stuff is pricey. So I figured this was a nice little entryway to kind of get into it. So grab this. This was the main card that I really wanted, along with this. I knew he had this. This is the 2017 Bronze PMG of Miles Morales. This is numbered out of 199. 65 out of 199. These are really nice cards. The internet does not do these justice when you look at photos of them. You can see it looks really, really good. These go for around $1,000, give or take, $900 to $1,000, given the day of the week. Sometimes over. I've seen them go for as high as 12. So we worked the deal for all three of these in one bundle. Like I said, these were the two that I really wanted. This one as well. Great looking card. You can see I have the red Spider-Gwen fresh back from PSA right here to kind of give you an idea on the red versus the bronze. The red is an iconic card for the PMGs and specifically on the Miles because it is a little bit of a color match. The red looks absolutely fantastic. I saw quite a few red Miles at the show, actually. So this was the deal to start the day right off the get. I think I have enough card stands here. I can actually set these out so I don't have to hang on to them. Throw that back there. Not too far into day one, I closed the deal right away. As you know, I brought the Acuna Auto. PSA 10 Topps Chrome Auto. I traded for that card at my local show about 2 weeks ago, specifically with the intent to sell it in Atlanta. I slipped it into Steve's case, and Steve was set up most of the time. I would cover the booth for like a half hour to an hour while he would go roam around. But he was primarily there. But I did have about a row of cards in his booth and a couple Marvel cards in his Marvel case. He had 2 showcases on Friday and 3 showcases on Saturday. And I was mixing some cards in here and there as he was selling stuff. And I put the Acuna out right away because I knew that would garner some attention. And within the first few hours, I had done a quick lap, hit the show floor, came back to the table. Steve did the same, and I covered the table for a bit. And actually, while I was covering the table, someone came up to me and had interest in the Acuna. I had a 2K sticker on it. The last PSA 10 comp was mid-December for $1,200, but very recently, a BGS 9.5 had did $1,450, and a raw did $1,200. So I felt $2,000 was a perfectly fair ask. That's the same price as the cheapest one on eBay. He wanted to be at 16. I really wanted to be at 18 to 1750. We settled on 1675. I thought about staying firm at like 1750 to 1800, and then I thought about it. I was into the card for 1200. I had just spent money with Steve. Do I really? Yeah, it was the first day of the show, and I think this where it gets into kind of what I talked about yesterday, of not being a regular dealer and just being a part-time idiot in this whole thing. I think frees me up to play a little faster and looser with this type of stuff. Could I have gotten greedy and potentially sold that card, later that day or on a busier Saturday for an extra $100? Maybe. There's a very good likelihood that I could, but there's a very good likelihood that I could not. And one of my goals of the show was to move that card. I was into it for around $1,200 for what I traded for, and I traded into that card for about $1,200 in value. And I got a strong offer at $1,675. This was one of those things too where he was at $1,650. I was at $1,750, and I went to 17, and he was about to walk from the table. Maybe he pulled a fast one on me. I don't know. But he's like, nah, I'm going to walk around and think about it. And we all know what that means. When they walk around and think about it, you're never going to see him again, most likely, because they're going to get caught up and spend the money somewhere else. And I said, if you do it right now, cash, I'll do 1675. I'll meet you more towards your end of the middle. And he said, deal. So maybe his little tactic worked on me, but you know what? I made close to $500 on the deal. I was happy. He got a card that he wanted. He was happy. And I immediately restocked my cash fund that I had spent a little bit out of. So that happened immediately. That card left the case. I put 2 Trae Young Silver PSA 9s out. Last comps on them were $200. And I was way under on those cards. I have other Trae Young. I have Optic Hollow and a Red Mosaic. I put those out. They sold real fast. Probably within, I think, before Steve even got back to the table, I moved the trays. Those moved very quickly. And I sold those for $150 each. And I had them at $200. $200 was the last eBay comp on it. And once again, you might be saying, well, why'd you sell so low? Whatever. When you look at a $200 eBay comp, you got to knock 15% off. Plus, there's a cash factor. And, I was just looking to acquire more cash at that time. I definitely lost money on those cards for sure, though, based off what I was into them for. Could I have held them for a potential playoff bump or whatever? Sure. But I was trying to build up the cash fund to see if maybe I could knock out a really big purchase at the show. That was pretty much it for Friday. Friday was a little bit of a shorter day at the show. Traffic was not as heavy on Friday. And I think I'm going to do a separate video about this. I had all my stuff priced. I think that really helps. And once again, I think I'm going to talk about this separately. I don't want to bog this video down with that. But I really think that helps things a lot, is having your items priced. So Saturday rolls around. I sell a Magneto Vibranium to Kenny Fornos right off the gate. Cut him a good deal on that because he's a big Magneto fan. I said, hey, I have this. I wasn't super attached to that card. I did like it, but I was willing to move off of it. I think I was into it for $25. I sold it to him for $50. Last comp on it was like 65 or 70 or something like that. So he was happy. Then the day before, I got an offer on my Soto Bowman's Best auto. There was a $2,500 eBay comp out there. And to me, as we've talked about before on the channel, that comp felt a little off. It was a big jump up from the previous $1,700 comp, but there was none listed for cheaper. So, you know, it is what it is. The comp's the comp. So I walked it around on Friday, and I got a strong offer from a dealer, what I considered a strong offer from a dealer. And it's a dealer, funny story. I'm pretty sure it's the dealer that I bought the card off of in Shipshawana, or traded for it off of in Shipshawana at the trade night. I am almost positive. So he gave me a number. I put it in the case. I said, okay, let me think about it. I said, I'm here all day tomorrow. And he said, that's fine. He said, I'm not going anywhere. And this guy's very easy to work with. He's very straightforward with you. You know, he's going to give you a dealer price on it, but he's going to give you a fair dealer price on it when he buys from you. And he's pretty fair to buy from. So I felt pretty confident working with him. And like I said, I had done a deal with him before. I doubt he remembered me, but I had remembered this from the past as well. So I said, well, let me throw it in the case tomorrow for half the day at $2,500 and see what happens. And then see if there's something that I really, really want on the show floor that I could get a decent deal on. So I walked the show floor Saturday morning, you know, spend a little time at the table, vice versa. And I ran into a card that I had been looking for a while. I had bid on some, but never gone hard off of it. And I ran into one in a case. I talked to the guy briefly, and I said, okay, let me think about it. Let me circle back. And it was a weird grade. And once again, if you follow me on IG, you've seen this card. You know what I'm talking about. And I'll reveal it in a second. It was a weird grade, and it's a weird card. It doesn't sell very often. So I went back to the table, and I actually talked to Kenny Fornos about it. And I was like, hey, I'm looking at this card. This is where he's at price-wise. This is the grades. These are the comps. What do you think would be the right number here? Because this is just, like I said, it's one of those weird cards and on a very odd grade. And he said, yeah, I would go with this. So to make the play on that, and now I had the money. I could have just went and bought it. But at this point in time, it was after lunch, and I wanted to move off the Soto. I had decided going into that show, if I could get a strong offer on the Soto, I was going to move it. So I walked the Soto over to the dealer, and he wanted to be at 2K on it. I countered at 21, and he's like, nah, I have to be at 2K on it to be able to make any money off this. Because he said, I'm going to put it in my case for 2,500, and someone's going to want to go to 2,250 on it. And for it to be worth my time and risk to carry it, you know, I need to make sure that I could actually make a little bit on it. And that makes perfect sense to me. And once again, you know, a $2,500 card, if I sell that on eBay, I'm immediately losing 14% to eBay, plus the shipping, plus all the other stuff. So it makes it a lot more palatable. Plus, I don't know, you know, that comp still scared me that was out there. Little did I know, which I did not know this at the time, I found this out yesterday when I was researching cards. There was one, and I don't know when it got posted exactly, but it was fairly recent. There is a buy it now on my slabs for $2,150 of that Bowman's Best auto at time of recording. So, and that's been sitting for at least a day. So it makes me feel a little bit better about moving out of it, even though I did really like the card. So he gave me 2K on it. And then I immediately went over to the other dealer and started negotiating on this. 2009, 2010 LeBron Topps Chrome Refractor. Anyone that's followed the channel for a while knows that I have been slowly putting together the LeBron Refractor run of his non-rookie refractors. I have the Choctaws hiding back there, and I have a second year hiding right back there. So this was honestly the last big one. These are extremely expensive. In some cases, these sell almost as well, if not more, than the Choctaws, and it definitely outsells the second year. A part of the big reason why is this one is numbered out of 500. The Choctaws is non-numbered. His second year is non-numbered. Guy had this on his table for $1,850, and once again, you can see it's a BGS 8.5. So it's kind of an oddball grade. There's no comps on a BGS 8.5. So we looked at PSA 9 comps, which go for about $2,300 to $2,400. And the last BGS 9, I think it was a while ago, did around 2K. A PSA 7 recently did, I think, around 1,000. to 900. I don't remember the exact number, but it was under $1,000. So once again, I talked to Kenny on this, and he said, you know what? Like, even though he's at 18, he was at 1850. He said, offer him like 1350 and just see what he says. You don't know how much room he has on it. So I already talked to the guy once, and we didn't talk numbers. I just asked what his price was and said, okay. I said, I might be interested in this. I might swing back. And I've never actually seen one of these in the wild in any grade. Like I said, they do not pop up very often. The PSA pop report on these are very low. So I went back and said, hey, so we talked earlier about the chrome. Just curious how much room you have on it. And we kind of went back and forth. And I said, I'd really like to be at like 1350. And he was like, I just can't get that low. He said, I think the best I could do is 1500. So we talked a little bit back and forth. And I probably would have did 1500. I don't know that I would have walked away at 1500. I countered back at 1450. I really ideally would have loved him at 1400, but 1450. He thought about it for about 30 seconds and he said, deal. So I brought this bad boy home. Extremely excited to have this. I did not think I would honestly be walking out of there with one of these. Like I said, this card is pretty tricky to find. I did not expect to see one there. To me, this is one of his best looking refractors, in my opinion. This is a breakaway dunk that he had against the Pistons in the Eastern Conference Finals. I believe the year they went to the NBA Finals where they beat the Pistons. It's an iconic play, an iconic photo, and just an absolutely fantastic looking card. It also has, for a BGS 8.5, it has really good subgrades. The 9 centering, but 2 9.5s, edges and surface. The 9 centering to me is a little rough, in my opinion. It's a little bit off left to right, but I don't know. I think 9 centering is a little harsh. I could be wrong. I guess it is a little heavier on the left. And then it has an 8 for the corners. Oops. Has an 8 on the corners. And the reason the corners got an 8 are the back. These cards have a black edge. And you can see right there, that corner. And that corner. That corner is pretty rough. Not only does it have white, it's got a little, looks like it's got a little curl to it, a little soft. That one's not too bad. That one's got a little tiny white on it. But to me, it's this bottom right that really killed it with the 8. But you cannot see that on the front at all. So this card, in my opinion, presents extremely well on the front. This is an absolutely gorgeous looking card on the front. I was super excited to bring this home. And like I said, I had no idea that I would be running into that card at that show. So I now have, other than his rookie year, which was take me a long time to get most likely, probably the 3 hardest ones to get, and actually the 3 that I care about the most. The 06 one is really nice looking. The other 2 are kind of meh. But to knock that one off the list, I was very excited about it, 1450. So we brought that one home. After that, I went back to the table, sold some more stuff. What did I sell after that? I sold a Scarlet Witch Refined to Merlin. Actually, I think I did that on Friday, and I think I forgot to write it down until Saturday. I sold a Jaylen Brown Mosaic for $100. I basically made like $10 on that card. I think I was into it for like $100, maybe a little bit less than that. I made very little on that, but I made a slight profit on it. I sold a Darius Garland Silver for 60 PSA 9. This was all out of Steve's showcase. This wasn't the only card I sold walking around to a dealer was the Soto Bowman's Best. The Garland Silver I made like $10 profit on. I sold my Tatum Mosaic PSA 10. I basically broke even on that card, I think. I sold it for 200, and I think I was into it for right around that. Then at trade night that night, and this was a viewer of the channel. I'm sorry, I forget your name off the top of my head. We talked a couple different times, but there's just so many people in and out of your orbit at these big shows. It's hard to keep track of everyone, so no offense. He was interested in my Tatum Optic checkerboard, which I did have out. I had it stickered at 1,000. There are no real comps on that card, so it is kind of tricky to find a value on it. I just looked at what the cheapest one was listed for on eBay and undercut it by a few $100 because I figured if they weren't selling for that price on eBay, then that's probably not a very good number. And I wasn't necessarily desperate to move it. So we talked to the show about it. He was interested in it. And he said, I just have no idea how to value this card. And I said, to be honest, you and me both. So he's like, let me think about it. And I said, that's fine. I said, I'll be around, or I'll be at trade night tonight. I'll be around the show floor the rest of the day today. I said, I am leaving tomorrow. I won't be on the floor at all. So he actually tracked me down at trade night. And he said, I would like to be at partial trade and cash. And he said, I would like to be at like a $900 value on it, just based off what he looked at. And I said, I'll take a look at your stuff. And I felt fine with a $900 value. I was into it, I think, for about 8. So to get 9 out of it, that's fine. I'm not losing on it. I'm making a slight profit on it. I did really like that card. I wasn't desperate to move it. So, but he had something I was slightly interested in. And I've talked about this player a lot. So we did a deal for a Devers Refractor, Topps Chrome, nothing special, and cash on top. So it was a majority cash deal. Plus I got this thrown in to kind of just take a little edge off on the cash price for him. So excited to have this one. I think Devers is one of the, better valued players out there when it comes to baseball. His stuff was extremely reasonably priced. So that's that one. And then I sold Garland Blue Velocity and a Purple Ohtani for basically what I was into them for. To maybe, I think I made like 10 or 15 bucks total, maybe 20 bucks on the transaction to Loco Card Collector, who was another YouTuber that I met out there. Absolutely great talking to him and his brother. Had a great time talking with them on the show floor and at trade night. The one that got away was actually their card. They had a Soto first Bowman Refractor that they worked a deal with another guy. And I don't necessarily think I had the inventory to close a deal for that card. But that one haunted me. Just because I've been looking for a first Soto Bowman most of the show, and I wasn't able to track one down. And like I said, the Refractor was probably way out of my price range. I would have had to really move a lot of my nicer stuff. And that's even saying that they would have wanted any of it. And I could have just straight bought it with cash, but it would have wiped me out completely. And I don't know what their cash number was on it. And like I said, they were already working a deal with someone else, and I did not want to mess up any of that stuff. There was a deal already in the works. Don't mess that up. That's their deal going on. If it falls through, then you can move in and make a play. But that does feel like one that got away. I was on the hunt all weekend. I wanted to buy more stuff. I walked around Saturday afternoon, the entire afternoon, trying to find stuff to make a play on. Because, I had this cash and it was like, do I want to take the cash home or do I want to buy stuff? And I was feeling pretty good because I had cash in my pocket and I wanted to buy. I looked at a Bo Bichette PSA 9 Refractor Auto. The dealer was $100 over comps on it because it had a PSA 10 auto grade. I just don't value a PSA 10 auto grade that high. So I couldn't get a deal closed on that. Someone had a Juan Soto 2018 Rainbow Foil. He had it at $1,350. The last comp is $1,250 or $1,275. I offered $1,000, just as like an opening offer. I didn't expect him to accept that. He said no. I kind of wanted to be at around $1,100 on it. He showed me his eBay purchase history. He's like, I bought this at $1,175. He's like, the lowest I could go is $1,200. And I just didn't really want to be at $1,200 on that card. I am slightly, as I sit here recording this, and this is probably actually going to change by the time you're watching this video on Tuesday, we don't know the status of the baseball season. And regardless of if it gets fixed or, and they're good to go or not, I worry Soto has and I love Soto for a long-term hold, but I worry that there's going to be, not worry, but I wonder if there's going to be a better buying opportunity on him in April or May if he remotely starts slow, just based off the fact that there is a lot that's going to be baked into his prices. Now, if he starts out the season hot, I am just screwed. But if he starts the season slow, I'm wondering if there's a buying opportunity there. So I tried to make a play on a Soto Rainbow Foil. There were a lot of Soto first Bowmans in the room. Refractors, non-refractors, the whole 9 yards. There was a PSA 9 first Bowman that I wanted to put an offer in on. I looked at it. I did not like the auto on it at all. And if you're going to spend, 2.5K or more on a card, you better make sure you really like it. And I felt like I had to talk myself out of that one to a degree. Part of me was like, oh man, now's your chance. You have the money. There's the card. You can make a cash deal for it. And another part of me was like, are you actually going to be happy with this? Or are you kind of forcing a play because you want to have the Bowman first Soto. And this isn't necessarily the one that you want. If the auto would have been cleaner, I would have made a play on it. But the J underneath, when he signs his name, his J goes underneath his name, underneath the Soto part, and it was streaky. The long hook had a noticeable streak through it. And the more I thought about it, I said, that's just going to bug me every time I look at the card. And I walked away on that one. Everyone else was BGS 9.5s, and I just didn't want to completely, though I had the money to buy it, it would have wiped out the fun money pile at the show, and I just didn't want to do that. I still had a trade night ahead of me, and you never know what else was gonna kind of shake itself out. So I skipped out on that one. Maybe I regret it. Who knows? But I think I'll be able to find another one in season. But that was kind of the moral of the show. It was hard. I found lots of stuff that I liked. I could not find stuff that I wanted. The dealers were just willing to work enough on it. Another example. There was a Acuna PSA 10 Topps Chrome Auto, but the refractor version. So the one that I sold on Friday, there was one in a case in the refractor version, a PSA 10 for $2,600. Last comp was a $2,400 eBay sale, and then after that, a $2,200 alt sale. And I was thinking, I'm like, if I could potentially get this down to low 2Ks, I'm going to pull the trigger on this. I'm like, if I sold a regular Acuna auto for $1,700 or almost $1,700, $1,675, and then I could just chip in a couple extra bucks and upgrade that to a refractor auto out of $499. That to me felt like a no-brainer. But they were pretty firm at the $2,600 price tag. The lowest he was willing to go was $2,400, which was the last eBay comp, even though there was a $2,200 alt comp after that. And this was even late. I purposely waited on this card till the end of the day Saturday to even make an offer on it, because I figured I might have a better shot if those guys figure, hey, we had this in our case all day Friday. We had this in the case all day Saturday, the busiest day of the show. Tomorrow's Sunday. It's not going to be as busy. Maybe they'd be willing to work a little bit more, and they weren't. I think it was more based off what they were into the card for, which I guess I get. Some of that stuff gets extremely frustrating. Once again, I think I'm going to hit on that in a separate video. But that was pretty much the show from the wheeling and dealing perspective. I wasn't at the table a ton. The time that I was there, some people did walk up stuff to sell, but every time that it was with me at the table, it wasn't anything that I was super interested in. It was either like, it was one of the two things. It was either like very low end, like kids bringing stuff up, which is fine, but that's just not stuff I'm looking to buy. Or it was like the ultra high end. Like there was a guy shopping a 10K Anthony Edwards select gold something out of 10 in a PSA 10. And that's just not my world. So it was like one extreme or the other. It was like, hey, I have this 50K Lebron refractor, or I have this $15 RJ Barrett base optic PSA 10. There was like that middle ground where I usually like to kind of stay in. So, and I don't know what Steve, once again, I wasn't at the table a ton. Steve was there a lot more. So I'm not sure what I don't think he bought anything from people walking up. I don't know what his experience was in regards to, seeing what walked up to the table and kind of using that as an advantage. While I was at the table, it didn't seem like a lot of people were looking to sell to dealers, is the vibe that I got. So, in regards to what people were looking for, like we got Steve, I'm sure he'll be talking about this in his, but while I was manning the table and he was roaming around, he had a lot of Hall of Fame autos in the case. He sold most of them and got questions about the other ones. Constant questions about Hall of Fame autos. Namath, Bird, Magic, I forget who else he had. But basically any Hall of Famer with an on-card auto got, hey, how much, where do you add on this? What do you add on this? What do you add on this? Marvel stuff moved fairly decently. I know Steve sold a lot of Marvel stuff, a couple PMGs, some Vibraniums. I sold 2 Vibraniums and stuff on that side. And the Marvel guys that were set up near us kind of said they had the same interactions at their table, with a lot of people trying to figure out or understand why these Marvel PMGs all of a sudden had kind of gotten wild on everybody. And once again, I'm just talking about this from my perspective of what I saw on the show floor. Steve's perspective could be completely different. Someone else that was at the show could also be completely different. Grading wise, only CSG and HGA were on site. No one else was there. I believe both companies were accepting submissions, and I can tell you right now, neither company had a line. I didn't see anyone really filling out paperwork at the CSG thing, and the HGA table was a ghost town. If you look at, they've been doing weekly updates on IG, and the comments on those things are brutal. The tables have turned on them real quick. The masses are not happy with them at all. So, but interesting show, great show, 100% would go back again. I think there's always going to be that push-pull buyer, seller, dealer relationship whenever you go to a show. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys and girls. If you have any questions about the show or you're looking for some specific information, feel free to leave it in the comments down below. If there's enough of them, maybe I'll do a follow-up video answering those questions, or maybe I'll do a community post like Wednesday that just says, hey, you know, anything that hasn't been talked about yet, you have questions on. If there's enough stuff there, maybe I'll do another video on it. But that's all I have for you guys and girls today. Wednesday's video, I am probably going to talk about some rampant show bidding on some recent auctions. I think I want to get that one out. And then probably Thursday we'll probably get the PSA, BGS, SGC numbers in, and I'll probably do a video on that as well for the month of January. But like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't, and we will catch you guys and girls on the next one. Peace.